Little by little, you know, honestly, it's always been a matter of someone you know or love has been hurt by this company at some point in time. And I can honestly say with the rate that they hire and fire, it's obvious that they would expand out of that base soon. You know, a lot of people are rehires.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up. Hey, it's Jordan. We are in Staten Island, right outside JFK 8, which is the massive Amazon warehouse that won the historic first Amazon unionized workforce in America almost 3 years ago. And not surprisingly, Amazon has refused to bargain with these workers. Thousands of workers work here. I'm with Connor Spence here, the president of Amazon Labor Union, which earlier this year connected and joined the umbrella affiliated with Teamsters. So just tell me, because you guys went out on strike at midnight, you have 2 hours, I think, of sleep?
2 hours of sleep.
Just tell me, there's a long road to get here. Tell me about the energy out here.
Well, you know, it's been more than 2 years, 2.5 years since we won our union election here at JFK 8. Amazon has been illegally refusing to negotiate a contract with us all this time. Appeal after appeal, stalling tactic after stalling tactic. They've spent probably millions on attorney's fees by now just to keep the workers down. And in the time since we unionized, yeah, exactly. We joined the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. We're part of the Teamsters National Amazon division. Amazon has this same legal obligation to bargain with over 20 bargaining units across the country. They're in the same boat as us, and so we've planned this nationally coordinated action to put as much pressure as possible at their most critical time of year because of their illegal refusal to come to the table with any of us.
And tell people who don't know, this warehouse, I forget the actual number. What was it, like 10 to 15 football fields?
Yeah.
How big this warehouse is?
15 football fields, yeah.
So just working here, when you barely get, you know, a 15-minute break, yeah. You are, in addition to the labor of the packaging, moving product, I mean, you're up and down a huge facility. Tell me about, has conditions gotten any better since you won the union? But basically Amazon refused to recognize, so you've basically been dealing with a lot of the same things.
No, it's absolutely not gotten better. In a lot of ways, it's gotten worse. Even during the pandemic, we had a few things they gave us to try to appease people. Those pandemic protections actually put us a little bit closer to feeling like we had more of a normal workplace. But now they've rescinded a lot of those things. They have made a lot of the working conditions, they've made changes that go in the opposite direction. Injury rates are up. People are as agitated as ever about the awful working conditions. And that's why, despite the fact that this is a company with 150% turnover, since our union election, a lot of those people who voted are gone. But it's no problem at all. Talking with the people who have come in since then, they share the same agitation that the workers had 2 years ago. And a lot of those veterans are still there, and we haven't forgotten either.
And for people that don't know, because, you know, Amazon spends millions of dollars, rainbows and sunshine, PR commercials. I remember the one with a guy they put through school who ends up at the end of the commercial on a beach, you know, looking wonderful and happy. But you mentioned the 150% turnover. Yeah. So they hire a lot of seasonal workers that they then get rid of. And there's a lot of people who quit because of the conditions. So they're just kind of going through workers almost like robots.
Yeah, I think that's one of the starkest changes they've made since our election. When I talked about things getting worse, I think that's one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that a lot of the employees every employee who's brought in now is brought in as a temporary employee. You make less money. You get no benefits. During our union election, Amazon's one of their biggest talking points was, we're such a great place to work. Who else gives you benefits day one? So we won the election, and then they got rid of that. So now you can be a temporary employee for over the first year of your employment. You make less, you have no benefits. If a family member dies, you can't even put in for a bereavement leave. Wow. You're treated like a second-class citizen. And a lot of those white badge employees, that's what they are. They're here on the line with us.
We saw that with the United Auto Workers strike, that's a big thing they were striking for, because the auto companies were using temp workers basically as a way to not pay benefits and get around, labor law. Can you kind of talk about, we were here years ago and it was stunning. I mean, we came out probably like 8 or 9 times before you won. I mean, there were ambulances all the time humming back and forth. I talked to people, talked about people being carted off on stretchers during the summer because of the heat in the warehouse. Tell people kind of the injuries that happen here and ambulances and all that.
Well, there was a recent report that Bernie Sanders did, especially around injuries during their critical times, Prime Day, peak season. It shows their published injury rates were always bad, but actually they distort the figures and they're even worse than we thought. And it all comes back to the rate-based quotas, the productivity metrics. Amazon's injury rates, like anything else in this company, it's not like something they're struggling, they can't figure out how to fix these things. It's a very obvious fix. Slow down the quotas, give people longer breaks, give people reasonable accommodations, but the one metric they care about is productivity, and so the injury rates are a very tightly controlled metric. They injure people just enough that they don't get in too much trouble and it doesn't cost them too much money in liability, and they have all these measures in place to make sure that when workers are injured on the job, there's all these obstructions in place to prevent them from even getting the kind of help they need.
So I spoken with you before, so many years ago. Tell me, kind of, this has come full circle because you were part of the original campaign to win the union vote, but Amazon has still refused to negotiate.
Well, it's been so many years. It's good to be back. For anybody that watched older videos of me, explaining the conditions that's going on inside of that building. I was terminated a few years ago, due to productivity, not having a top rate, successful work performance, and union involvement. But at the end of the day, I kept going. I still supported the union, still attended so many rallies, still doing the music. I'm a more better person than before and more optimistic. So,
and I should say they did fire and target a lot of the folks that were, leaders of the union movement, claiming things like you're not meeting your productivity quota, yada, yada, yada. But they were basically targeting to try and fire union leaders.
Yeah, they had a habit of doing that. Amazon, it's all about favoritism. Sometimes it could be the worker that doesn't have the best work performance, but Amazon chooses to promote them. Amazon chooses to keep them around when the person that's more decent, respectable, may not meet the top work performance, or even they may meet the top work performance, they still get terminated for many reasons. It's all a money thing,
And for you, obviously they fired you, but you've kept in contact with workers here. Workers you've been talking to still dealing with a lot of these horrible conditions, the heat during the summer, equipment that's faulty, barely getting enough time to take a real bathroom break, etc.
Yeah, it's still the same thing. For over the years, I heard that Amazon, certain areas did change, but not a full proper infrastructure of Amazon has changed. It's still the same old code in Amazon. Less lunch breaks, get written up for bathroom breaks, ambulance still pulling up, taking people to the hospital, due to lack of air ventilation, write-ups, all type of stuff. So I feel like it's gotten worse over time. Yes, certain areas that I heard have changed, but it's still the same old concept, crazy concept of Amazon. You work hard, you don't have fun, and once they fire you, your history, you're done.
What does it say to you that we are the wealthiest country on earth, they say? We're a supposed democracy, yet a company that's worth trillions of dollars is not offering health insurance. The drivers yesterday in Queens were telling me about the horrible conditions just in the vans. And you guys have to basically be out here in 15 degrees just to get basic things. What does that say about America?
America, they say it's the greatest country in the world, but to me, that workers are being controlled and slaves under this work system that is not basically helping to progress workers, And I feel like it's not just Amazon, it's many other corporations that, have all this money that don't really help benefit the workers or to give them better wages and stuff. Workers are breaking their backs, you know, 24 hours a day or even 7 days a week, whatever, how many hours they work, and it's still no great results. It's still no progressive change. So I feel like America needs to do better with these jobs. Like, you know, the unemployment rate is high. You know, it's hard for people to get jobs, and when they get jobs like this, they get let go, like, let's say a week after. So like it's I don't know, it gotta do better.
So you were part of the original union campaign. Talk about this moment, this momentum you guys have, because unfortunately not a lot has changed for the better since that union campaign.
Well, you know, the momentum is pretty strong, you know, because it's, you know, we thought COVID was the worst they could treat their workers, but, you know, like I said, I give it to Amazon, they stepped it up. They proved me wrong on that one, but, you know, I think this is only chosen to agitate, especially given the actions of other unions all over the world lately, and the way workers are really just standing up all around and just saying, you know what, enough is enough. You know, so I think that has also helped start this second wave of just nonstop support, you know, not only public, you know, but, you know, people inside the building, you know, they see what we do, you know, they see that no matter what, you know, what they might have heard, we're still here and we're still fighting at the end of the day. You know, we affiliated with the Teamsters, you know, we're glad to have their support, you know, and, you know, we've really shown them that, you know, we could come together and get this thing done, something Amazon never thought would happen, ever. But, you know, I'm glad to say we proved them wrong, and I hope this is a nice preview of what could happen a lot more.
You know, Amazon, like a lot of companies, they spend a shit ton of money on PR. You see the commercials, you know, rainbows and sunshine, you know, your neighborhood Amazon driver smiling, and that sometimes consumers don't realize what goes into getting them their stuff so quickly. Are you seeing that change at all, where consumers are starting to learn more about the horrible conditions, and also consumers are showing you guys support?
Little by little, you know, honestly, it's always been a matter of someone you know or love has been hurt by this company at some point in time. And I can honestly say, with the rate that they hire and fire, it's obvious that they would expand out of that base soon. You know, a lot of people are rehires. You know, they know what this company is like, but they have no other choice, you know, but to subject themselves to these working conditions and these, you know, being fired at the drop of a hat. And then being told, oh, yeah, just come back. You know, you have to start from the bottom again. But, you know, it's all good, you know. And then next thing you know, they keep you a white badge for over a year with no insurance and no holiday pay or vacation time of any.
Tell people what a white badge means.
A white badge is deemed to be seasonal, you know, to Amazon. But, you know, I don't remember a season being 11 months, you know.
That's really extra disgusting, because working here, I mean, you'll throw out your back. You know, I've talked to people who can barely move after a shift. So if you don't have health insurance, I mean, how do you see a doctor if, you know, whether it's physical or else?
I've been here for 6 years, and I can honestly say the amount of people that have dropped like flies due to knee injuries, back injuries. I myself tore a muscle in my right hand and was out of work for almost 6 months, you know. The injuries here are insane, and many workers that are participating now have, you know, injuries against Amazon. They are in current workers' comp cases. They're injured and bruised and battered from working in this company and are still being told, no, we don't need to negotiate a contract with you. Like, that is ridiculous. This is 2024 now, you know, going into 2025, and union support has only grown all around the world. So, you know, if they think this is over, this is just the very beginning.
I'd like to ask you, because some people just reflexively respond, if it's so bad, why don't you go somewhere else? But a lot of people don't realize, you know, they say the economy is great. There's not a ton of other great options, even in New York City, you know, if you don't have a college degree, where you could get, you know, livable wage, benefits, etc.
Yeah. Well, for that, I would say, you know, if something isn't good, why should you just remove yourself from that situation? Why shouldn't you try to improve that environment, make that environment better for others instead of just cutting and running, you know? I think this place has potential to be a great place to work, a place where people could work, support their families, and the company can continue to, you know, perform the way they are. All we're asking for is to be able to negotiate what that looks like in an era where we work and we work in one of the most profitable areas in all of Amazon, and many people work 40, 50 hours a week and still can afford to make rent, to pay their bills, buy food for themselves and their children. Like, that's ridiculous, because what is the answer to that? Work harder? You spend 60 hours a week here. You should spend more.
You can also talk about that work-life balance, because I mean, the American dream is, you work 40 hours and then you get the weekends with the kids and holidays with the kids, and maybe you can take a vacation. I mean, I'm talking to workers that could barely stand up. They collapse after work. So how many workers could actually spend time with the kids, actually have a normal family life?
Oh, very few, very few. You know, as speaking to someone on day shift, I barely get to see my girlfriend or my stepson, you know, and that's just from day shift. I can't imagine what night shift must be going through. You know, you're constantly out of the building. You know, you come back and you're exhausted. Your kids are about to go to sleep to get ready for school the next day. You know, you have to get up. For many people that live in other boroughs, have to get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning just to get here by 7 o'clock. You know, that's insane. You never get to see your kids, you know, your loved ones. You know, even during this holiday, Christmas Eve, they're like, hey, come in for a half day. Come on. Like, obviously people want to spend time with their families. Like, why is that even a necessity when all during this time of the year anyway, they're giving out VTO, sending people home? So why are you, making it mandatory for people to come in on the eve of such a major holiday that is very important, not just to the workers, but to their families?
Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is, spending all his money. He's getting all of his attention. He's going to space. Apparently, he, in some European country, I forget the name, he paid to destroy a bridge so his yacht could pass through. His super yacht. He was dining the other night, if you don't know, with President-elect Trump. So what's your message? Not that he's watching, but what would be your message to Bezos? Not just Bezos, but, there's other executives at Amazon, all the union-busting consultants they send in here. What should they know?
I would just say, no matter who you are, politicians, Amazon leadership, CEOs, union busters, watch out, because, this ain't going anywhere anytime soon, and neither are we.
I'm here with our comrades, not only from Amazon JFK8, but from all over the nation. Workers have come from many warehouses nationwide to support this strike. We're on a multi-day strike for unfair labor practice, and the fact that they're not coming to negotiate with us, even though they've been legally obligated to do so under federal law with the NLRB. So come to the table, Amazon, because your time is up.
Let me ask you about that, because I thought in America, democracy, right? Well, they lost. You won.
Yep.
Almost 3 years ago.
Yep.
How does Amazon get away with just kind of kicking and screaming, and we're not even going to negotiate? I mean, that doesn't really seem like democracy if they're just blatantly breaking the law.
Exactly. This is all by design. Just like Amazon's greed and exploitation, and all of these companies, all of these greedy CEOs, they come for the blood, sweat, and tears off of the backs of our workers and our labor. So it's our labor that produces the wealth for these billionaires, and their time is up, and it's got to end. We need a fair contract now for not only Amazon workers, but for all workers.
Can you talk about, since you and a lot of the other folks here today, you were out there organizing in 2020, 2021, in the cold, in the hot, and they went after a lot of you. They fired a lot of you guys who were involved with the union campaign, but you're still out here. Can you kind of talk about, this has been like David versus 10 Goliaths?
Yep. Yeah, so the odds have always been against us, but the power is with the people. There's more of us than there is the ruling class, and so we outnumber them 100 to 1. So we're coming for them.
And let me ask you, because it seems like the difference now between 4 years ago, Amazon's using AI a lot more. I talked to drivers yesterday. It's just like this robotic machine. Have you guys dealt with that, where they're using AI more to basically squeeze more out of you?
Well, every bit that the company, all of their systems, it's all designed for the exploitation of our workers, every step they can. So with the inclusion of AI, and the productivity rates, they're astronomical, and that's why we need protections in our fair contract for workers, not only for Amazon but for all workers.
And my last question, Jeff Bezos apparently dined with President-elect Trump the other night at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if Vice President Musk was there, but Bezos, obviously has a lot of contracts with the government. He owns the Washington Post. If he sees any of this, what would be your message to Bezos?
We see you. We see your endless greed and exploitation. We're coming for you. We're not giving up. We're here on the picket line. And you do whatever you can to gaslight us by saying that the picket line won't touch your profits and won't touch people's precious packages. Well, we've got a message for you. We're coming for you. And the packages, if they don't get delivered, that's on Amazon.
These companies do this because they don't want to even give an inch. Because if they give workers an inch, then the workers are going to say, oh, look what happened when we organized. Look what happened when we got tough. Maybe we could take this inch and go even further. And the corporate America and the politicians they bought off, they do not want to set that precedent. They don't want to give you hope. They don't want the workers to win even small victories. So that's why we're out here. Please support Status Coup. Please share this, comment, like this. If you can, leave a super chat. Most importantly, sign up as a paying member if you can. StatusCoup.com/join. We want to be able to cover more of this.